In the first month of my diet with Ideal Health, I have lost 20 pounds, which is fantastic. So check out nhbusinessshow.com/ideal if those are the type of results you want for yourself. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hamster Business Show. My name is Chris Pastrana, and today I'm here with Neelima Gogumalla from Creative Chef Kitchens. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get a little history. Where did it all start?
The business, it's 5 years old, and it started about a year before that when a friend of mine who has a restaurant in my hometown of Wyndham was going out of business. Mm-hmm. And she was struggling to keep it going, and she had a number of different ways to counter it and to keep it going, including having a Food Network chef come in and to do an analysis of her business. They ripped it apart, they built it back up again. It didn't quite survive, and so it kind of got me thinking about why do food businesses don't survive as much, especially restaurants. Why there's such a huge failure rate in restaurants. The more research I did, the more I realized it wasn't restaurants that needed like an incubator space where they can try out their concept. It's all these wonderful small businesses that have been coming up, and they're just flooding the farmers markets, but they didn't have a space to actually try out the idea before they put money into it. So I thought about it, and I go, I love this space. I love agriculture. I always think, I grew up not in a farm, but that was where I spent most of my summers, and we're getting away from real food. And I'm always struggling to find real food. Yeah. And even though I'm addicted to the plastic food that we eat, the boxed stuff, and I thought there's got to be a place where we can cultivate this type of an interest. And the more I read, the more engaged I got, and I went to San Francisco and went to the farmers markets, and I thought, okay, this is great. This is a great concept. I can get more entrepreneurs involved in starting their businesses. And I did some research, and there were a lot of small businesses that needed a space to cook. And as opposed to other industries where you can start a fashion business in your garage or an IT business in your bedroom, you really can't start a food business in your home. It's just not allowed. It's against regulations. So that's what gave me the idea. That's what got me started. I couldn't prove the concept to anyone because it was relatively new. So I emptied out my bank account, cashed in my retirement policy, borrowed from my family, and launched the business 5 years ago. And 5 years later, we are bursting at the seams, which at this point right now, I am looking to expand my business and bring in more concepts under one roof.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So, what I like, a couple things that you said is, I forget what the failure rate is, but it's like 80+% in the first 2 years.
5%, only 5% survive after the first 5 years of restaurants. Yeah. And food businesses, the reason they don't survive is because there aren't that many margins for food. Mm-hmm. And you're constantly competing with the large businesses. And everything is a struggle. Most of my businesses don't have a food background. 99% of my businesses that come in to open up at the kitchen don't have a food background. They're accountants, they're IT professionals, they're engineers, they're nurses who just want to do something on their own. Yeah. And in the last 5 years, I've had over 105 businesses, if I want to get exactly technical, and I have like 3 new businesses starting this week. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun for me as an entrepreneur. This is my 4th business or 3rd business. I get a lot of energy from them. And so I feed it right back to them. Yeah. So I get very excited, and it's all new. I mean, it's food, but it's chocolates and it's meal kits. And in the meal kit business, you have people who deliver to the health food industry, and those who deliver to a dietary restriction, and those who want to target new mothers. It's very targeted what they want to do. Yeah. And it's great energy because it's not always the same. It's food, but it's chocolates and granola and Puerto Rican food and the new business we have right now is a food truck. It's all completely new and different. We don't have too many of the same. And even if it is the same, it's targeting a different market. Yeah. And it's fascinating for me. So I feed off that, and they feed off my interests, and
Yeah.
it's always new.
Yeah, and that's really cool. Like, the whole concept of it, I think, is really good.
Yeah.
Because you're right, you can't just start a restaurant out of your kitchen
Mm-hmm.
because, like I said, regulations.
Right.
And so instead of someone going out and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars renovating a space, and
Right.
you're providing them a way to get in the door
Right.
without that huge upfront investment,
Right.
which is
Which kills
hopefully,
them, which is what the expense is, the lease
Yeah.
and the equipment. And kitchen equipment it's just plain stainless steel with a motor in it.
Yeah.
But it costs so much.
Yeah.
And just like a car, you take it off the lot and it drops in value by 50%,
Yeah.
that type of thing. But it's the equipment itself lasts very long, so it's a good investment for me. But it's not a good investment for someone who hasn't proven
Yeah.
a concept, type of thing.
And it'll probably go under in the first 5 years.
Yes, yeah, it does. It does. When I was looking for kitchen equipment, I had so much used equipment thrown at me. It was just like all these companies. And I thought, why is there so much used equipment? It's because people don't survive, and used equipment, like I said, loses value right there and then. But anyway, it's a nice concept for a lot of people because they don't have any overhead.
Yeah.
And I charge $25 an hour to use the kitchen, and they get to use all the equipment, and I have all the everything down from stock pots to spoons, so they don't have to bring anything except their ingredients and their packaging, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's not bad either.
Yeah.
25 an hour instead of like all that other money.
Right.
That's not a bad way to start a business.
Yep. You have access to all the equipment, gas, electric,
Yeah.
every type of packaging equipment. We offer storage as well, refrigeration, long-term, short-term. And things get done faster. Like we have a hot sauce company that just came in, and they're amazing hot sauce. I just can't be in the space when
Yeah.
they're doing it because they're wearing masks and everything as well. It's very, very hot. But as opposed to home, they can get hundreds of bottles done at the kitchen because we have the large pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
And so $25, they can do a lot more for an hour than they
Oh,
would
yeah.
if they were spending the same time at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And then again with the regulations, they're abiding by those.
The sanitation,
yeah.
New Hampshire, we're still a live or die free state.
Live free or die, yeah.
Live free or die free. Live free or die state. So we don't. Some of the regulations are not as strict, but they are getting that way.
Yeah.
But our big market is still Massachusetts. So even if we produce here, most of my customers sell in Mass,
Yeah.
and so they have to comply. And
Yeah.
Mass regulations are pretty strict, but it's food. You can kill a bunch of people if you
Yeah.
don't do it the right way.
Yeah, like the whole thing with the lettuce this week.
Oh, yeah,
like,
isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And I mean, you'll never guess why that is, that the lettuce is contaminated.
What is that?
It's farmers, in California and wherever, the people who pick the produce, they don't have access to restrooms as such.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that makes sense. Yeah,
you can go further with that logic.
Yeah.
And, it just gets right into it,
Yeah.
food.
Hmm.
It's just, sanitation is kind of important.
A little bit, When we work with food, you might cleanliness.
It is. You got to wash your hands. You got to wear gloves, hair
Yeah.
nets. You think you come in and you bring stuff from home sometimes, and I'll see like a pet hair on it, and it freaks me out because people have allergies to them. So we have to sanitize everything, make sure everything is clean. Everything that goes into the kitchen is properly inspected,
Yeah.
and so no one's product is contaminated by someone else.
Yeah.
So that's kind of I stress out about that, about keeping the place clean.
Yeah.
And cleaning every counter and every table and every sink, and make sure the drains are clean. Those are the things that worry me the most.
Yeah. Now, is that something you guys do in addition to the service, or
Yes.
do they handle that themselves?
They usually, everyone has to clean up,
Mhm.
but because of my anal retentiveness, I'm just not okay with that.
Yeah.
So recently I've started mopping and cleaning myself. It's not a big kitchen, it's like 1,400 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good workout. So I thought to myself, I can do this, or I can spend money at a gym. So I tend to do this because I like to keep everything clean and shiny. It's all stainless steel, you can keep it nice and clean, and it shows. No fingerprints, no flour dusting anywhere, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's I like it. It's like my home kitchen kind of thing.
Yeah. That's cool. Let's see. So, I'd actually had a conversation with a gentleman a couple weeks ago. He was he runs a little restaurant out in New Boston, and we were trying to brainstorm ideas on how to help new businesses, especially restaurants, make it through the first little bit. And I'm like, well, here we go. Here's your answer. It's like a perfect little thing. Because I had said, a great way to do it is, instead of buying the space, essentially make the food, go to a place that, you kind of want to be, and see if they'll buy your food there.
Right. It's a pop-up kind of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, exactly. But then they even have a place to go to make the food, so that's even better.
Well, as I said, we're busting out of the seams right now. So we, for the last year and a half, I've been looking for a new space because I knew my lease would run out. So I found a space, and we're kind of in the negotiating process, trying to get it going. Fingers crossed that we'll get to buy it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to lease anymore because just the fit-ups and everything is just tremendous amount of money.
Yeah.
So we're going to buy a place in Derry. And it's going to be 6 times larger than what I have right now. So the incubator space, the incubator kitchen moves exactly the way it is. The same exact design is what I'm moving to the new space. However, a lot of my businesses that have started with me have grown tremendous.
Yeah.
And they face the same issues that I did. Most banks don't want to invest in food businesses. They're a risk. And with 5% surviving, it is risky. You can't expect any bank to take that type of risk either. So I wanted to grow with them, and I'm going to leverage what I have and help them grow as I do. And so we're going to have rental spaces. So they have their own kitchen. They don't have to use the shared space. They pay me rent. So I'll have 7 rental kitchens, actually 6 rental kitchens because we merged 2. And 4 of them have already been spoken for, just my own business, and I haven't done any advertising. We're also going to have a certified USDA kitchen, a gluten-free, designated gluten-free kitchen because they can't be in a shared space. So the USDA kitchen allows farms and local meat producers to come in and use the kitchen to make whatever they want to do, and they can wholesale it. Right now we can't wholesale because we're not USDA certified. In the new space we will. One of my favorite things that I want to do is to have a show kitchen, like a Food Network kitchen. So you can do demos, and we're going to talk. We're talking to our local cable service so they can take that feed because they need content as well. So they can put that feed right onto the cable service, and then we upload it to our YouTube channel. So for classes done at the kitchen, we have tons of classes. We just can't do them as much because the next day we have to have the place sanitized. So if I have 30 people in the kitchen, 30 footprints all over the place, I need to have it cleaned and sanitized. So we're doing that. We're going to have a special commissary kitchen for food trucks. So food trucks can come in, they can clean their food, their truck in the kitchen area, which is completely separate. It's not food. And then we'll have a charging station so food trucks can charge overnight. So that's like a space for them to park. And then we will have a packaging place because packaging is the next step. You can't keep on hand packaging anymore. You need a big hopper for that. And then we'll have a space for a restaurant and a pop-up restaurant. So someone can say, okay, I don't want to do it on a regular basis, but I want to come in and do one day of a Korean meal or something. So we can do that. And I'm going to have a farmer's market right in there. It'll be a 7-day-a-week farmer's market. So it's a regular market. I mean, I'm not knocking grocery stores, but if we want to go local and we want to help local farms and local businesses, we have to start competing. And it has to be a 7-day market. And so we have a lot of regional farmers markets in our area. It's town markets that are, on a Wednesday night, a Wednesday afternoon, or a Saturday morning. And they move winter and summer. This is going to be a permanent location. So all farms can come in and bring their produce. They know there's going to be a market because we're going to have the public in there. So we'll hopefully, we'll start competing with the grocery stores. But it's all going to be local. That's
really cool. I love your idea. I'm going to take a quick break here for the sponsors, though, and we'll be right back.
Absolutely.
It's incredibly important to have a goal for yourself. a reason, a direction, a purpose. But if you don't you know where you came from, you don't know who you are, how can you project forward to know who you want to become? So head over to AliensBusinessShow.com/self-author and get started with a self-authorship program. Dr. Jordan Peterson and his team put together a fantastic program for everybody to help you, as I said, figure out your past, figure out your present, create your future. It's hugely important. I did the program. It's changed my outlook on how I'm doing things moving forward. And if you don't get yourself in order, no one else is going to. It's a phenomenal idea, and I love it. And everything about it, like, is the reason I love entrepreneurship so much. Because you're literally getting into all the little areas that need to be fixed. And you're right. If you want to, not take on, but, kind of deal with the areas that supermarkets lack, you need to be able to compete with them.
Yeah.
And there's a reason, they're so powerful. It's, for whatever reason their model works. And we don't compete with it, but we have to.
and there's no space. A few years ago, I participated in a cooking contest of some sort, and it was put together by the Granite State Dairy Council, and they're an amazing organization that brings all the local dairy farms together. And the part of the contest required you to use local ingredients, and I was amazed. I drove around New Hampshire looking for these little farms, and this one street I would go by 1,000 times, I think. I never really realized if I made that right turn. There's a beautiful dairy farm that does amazing goat cheese. And I've never heard of her before, and I've never heard of their product. It was just amazing. And I thought, where do they sell? I mean, they're farmers. Yeah. They don't have the resources or the time or the energy to go and sell their product because they're cultivating their land, they're taking care of their livestock. So this is a space we want to have that happen, and we'll have a farm to table designation, a farm to school, a farm to hospitals, because hospitals and schools, they don't have the resources to go to 10 different farms either. Yeah. And they're buying produce that's coming from California. Why? We have a produce right here. We have livestock right here. It's just, you've got to go to so many different areas to pick it up. Yeah. Here is a central location where, farms can come and leave their produce. We clean it up, we process it, we store it, and then we sell it to schools. Now, social media is so great. We'll send them an email in the morning saying, we've got 1,000 pounds of strawberries, come pick them up. Yeah. And they would do that. Same thing with hospitals, same thing with restaurants. So we're not doing anything new. All I want to do is take established processes and bring it together under one roof. So it all happens where it's a food hub. It's from producers to farmers to producers to the market, right under one roof. Yeah. And that's going to give us the ability to be a lot more influential in the local market. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As I was saying, with supermarkets, they have the distribution, which is where they save so much money and they help you out. But if you take care of that, which is kind of what you're aiming to do, you can compete with supermarkets in a way that, you can get healthier food out. Right. Instead of some of the stuff you get at the stores, which is, old and pesticide full and all that stuff. So. And it ripens on a truck somewhere. Yeah. I was fascinated when I was reading about that there are trucks out there, they actually put raw produce in and then they gasify it. So when it's traveling from California, wherever, that's where it ripens. Yeah. I thought, that's insane. You should be able to pick it off the vine somewhere and sell it the same day. Yeah. That's how I grew up. Yeah. Produce from the backyard or, farmers somewhere, So it's very exciting, and New Hampshire makes it so much easier to do some of this stuff because everyone is so well connected. Yeah. Some of the bigger states like Mass, like California, like Illinois, they are way ahead of us, but they've started ahead of us. Yeah. Yeah. I hope I can emulate some of that because that's what I want to do when I grow up. Be one of those huge farmers hubs, a food hub for farms. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. Yeah. I've heard of a couple of them working. I think in Australia I heard of one that was working pretty well. Yeah. I watched some TED Talk on it. And,
So yeah, it's good to see like coming to this area. It's awesome. I love New Hampshire.
It's fascinating, and we're so close to Vermont that has its own selection of farms and food products that they do that we can source from. And Maine has so many farms, and New Hampshire's great as well. I mean, it's got lots of livestock that I'd like to get into, like meats. I'm always suspicious about meats at grocery stores.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see where my meat comes from.
Yeah, definitely.
And eggs. And you spend a little bit more, but either you spend it on the front end eating better food, or you're going to spend it in the back end paying for medical issues, So you might as well do it right now.
Yeah. As well, it's an area most people don't realize. And you're right, you're paying for it eventually.
Yeah.
So, but if you eat poorly, the second half of your life becomes very expensive,
right,
with all the medications and hospitals and all that stuff.
Painful and So we have so much in this area, and we have so many entrepreneurs. As I said, in the last 5 years, I've got over 100 people who've started.
Yeah.
But the number of inquiries I get, I was making a list for my database the other day. We've had over 550 inquiries come through, and these are the ones that I've actually logged. I mean, sometimes I'm on the road and I get a phone call and I don't actually take the number down and everything. So I just take the email down and quickly send them a startup email or something like that. So it's and then we're so close. Derry is very close to Massachusetts, which is where I like to be.
Yeah.
My radius is about 40 minutes to maybe an hour, and we have a lot of business coming from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Which I like. I mean, they come as far south as, I think, Winchester was the further south. And then all the way up north to Portsmouth and Laconia, and we've had people from Nashua and Peterborough.
Wow.
So it's a good selection, and Derry is right in the middle. So we get the two highways coming through.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
It's a great place for us to be, and at the town of Derry, we work very well with them. They are as pro-business as I could ever see a town be. They are so supportive of what I do, which makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
And it's in a nice affluent area as well, so people don't mind spending the extra money for local made food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's catching on a little bit too.
It is.
Even in other places where maybe they're not as affluent, but people are starting to realize if the food is like super cheap, or inexpensive, it's probably cheap.
It's not that good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good, and then the entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, the incubator side of it is just absolutely fascinating for me.
Yeah.
We have brought every service possible under one roof, from registering your business with the Secretary of State's office to getting your insurance, packaging and labeling, and doing your barcodes. And I do everything within a few hours. We get everything done, as opposed to making 1,000 phone calls trying to find information. And I'm trying to get some health insurance companies to work with us so they can provide health insurance for our businesses. The last service is a food broker. We want to have our own food broker that'll go out there to sell the products, because they're all shelf ready. They're ready to be put on a grocery store shelf.
That's really good.
Yeah, but you need someone who has that experience in the industry to say, okay, 5% commission, we'll get your product on a store shelf type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need that as well. That's the last.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you start pushing them like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, I always like asking one of these questions towards the end. Advice for someone who wants to start a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just thinking about starting. They want to get into it. What advice would you give them before they start? And hopefully they succeed.
Right. I think planning from the very beginning is the most important thing. And a business plan. You've got to put a business plan together and financials. Because you've got to figure out if this is what you can afford. A lot of people love to cook. So they always want to cook and entertain like they would do their families for Thanksgiving. But a restaurant is, it's a show. You got to put on a show every single day. So with my business, we do have some pop-up restaurants who've done it before. They come in, they check out their recipes, they'll invite a few friends to come and taste it, which is great. In this present space, we don't have a lot of room for this, but in the new space, we'll have at least 15 to 20 tables that can be used. So you cook, we do a promotion for you, you do a tasting. You get that feedback. That's the most important thing. and you do it in an environment where you're only spending for the money for the food and some marketing.
Yeah.
You don't pay for anything else. So for restaurants, we get a lot of ethnic food that inquires about doing this. They're like, well, we want to open up a Filipino restaurant, but I'm not sure if New Hampshire is ready for it. Well, just try it out. Try out the recipes, try out your concept, see what people think. Are the flavors what New Hampshireites will like? It goes very well in Boston.
Yeah.
But New Hampshire's still a little different. I think Mexican restaurants or Latin restaurants and Indian restaurants are doing pretty okay here.
Yeah.
But it's that niche-y ones that are kind of a little more difficult.
And I do think those are growing in popularity as well, especially if you go like Elm Street or little places in Concord. Those little hubs, you kind of see other things popping up. And I think there's definitely spaces for it.
Yeah.
And I think it's coming around. So
people's palates are becoming very sophisticated. They want a little more. I just put an article on my social media about spice mixes and how it's no longer sriracha anymore. It's like sriracha's taken over the market pretty well, but the other type of ethnic hot sauces are doing tremendous. Yeah, and we have an exo sauce at the kitchen that is amazing. It does so well, really good.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So, but in our space, we do everything. We do food companies, we do restaurants, any type of food that you want to do. The big one is meals, delivery meals. Yeah. Everyone's making these little portion-sized meals, and they deliver. And we have a couple of new companies that are just amazing. They are very young, and one of the founders, they're from here in Milford somewhere, and they have their menus. They've got a car, a van, they've got refrigeration, they've got the whole bit.
Yeah.
And I am so impressed how prepared they are.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, now it's time to start it out.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to get in touch with me, just give me a call on my website, and I will guide you through the process. It takes about 2 or 3 weeks sometimes to just get going, and then I don't ever see them because they come in, they get their work done, and if I'm there, I say hi to them. Otherwise, I don't ever see them.
Yeah.
Because they get their stuff done and they're out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today. This
absolutely.
has been awesome.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
This is great. Quite painless.
Yeah. Good. So thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to have our last word from our sponsors, and everyone have a very good day. June 23rd in Derry is going to be the second small business festival run by my good friend Jack Potvin. So it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of businesses, a lot of people. So don't miss this chance to grab a table. It's only $65. Website's going to be linked below.